Hi everyone, this is Djavak Andrard, Capital Director for Brave Collective and proud member of Black Crow Bandits, and we are going to be doing some dread ratting out here in Querious today. The ship you're going to be using is the Revelation. It's the only one that'll have the short-range ammo that is bonused specifically for the preferred damage type for the rats here. If you try to do it in a Naglfar, you're going to have a bad time. And if you try to do it in a Phoenix, you need to get some help. So we're using the 3 HAW guns. They have to be T2 HAW guns. We've got a Smartbomb that deals EM damage to haze off the frigates that tackle us there. T2 Siege module. The rigs we're using an Energy Burst Aerator for a little extra DPS. And 2 of the Capital Energy Discharge Elutriation rigs to give us a little more capacitor life. In the mid slots, we've got a sensor booster with a scan-res script so we can lock them up longer, and 2 tracking computers, which I prefer to run with optimal range scripts for everything except the very end, and we'll get to that in a minute. And of course, you've got your cap booster. You're using non-faction charges for these, because if you're spending Navy cap boosters while you're ratting, you're just throwing ISK out the window. An EM Energized Membrane, that's the preferred damage type of the rats here, and then 2 Multispectrums, standard damage control, and you'll see I've got Abyssal heat sinks and a Dark Blood. I pulled these out of my Titan, because I don't really use them that much. You can get away with T2, just as easy. And then an Enduring Armor Repairer, again, just trying to maximize that capacitor life, because the DPS isn't really that terrible. And if we sim this fit, you'll see I'm getting about 4,200 DPS. You want to shoot for an absolute floor of around 3,600. Anything below that, and you're probably going to have to run 2 siege cycles per site, and you're cutting your ticks in half. Shoot for around 3,900 as a floor, just to give yourself a bit of wiggle room, because at the floor of 3,600 DPS, you're going to be struggling to finish those sites pretty much every time, and it'll be a bad time for you. So now that we've got our fit set up, we check our cargo. In the fuel bay, we'll have a whole bunch of stront, really. This is way more stront than I'm going to need for any ratting session. But if I get tackled or if anything happens, I've got a bunch extra so I can run some more siege cycles. Fuel, of course, always need fuel. Fleet hangar is going to be empty because I forgot to fill it with my cat booster, 3,200s. So we drag those girls in there, and I'll just top off the stront bay while I'm at it. Ship maintenance bay is going to be empty. You could put a ship with, like, a T1 Indy with cap boosters in there, but you don't really need it. We've got some extra ammo, cap boosters in the cargo, and then the scripts for the different computers that we use in case we need to swap through them. So we've got our intel channel open. We've got local open. I can see there's a Cloaky camper here, but I don't really give a shit about him. And then we'll have sentinel.pleaseignore.com open, with the relevant regions selected, so we can have a nice overview of enemy movement in the area. Here I've got my bookmarks. This deep tether bookmark is for the Fortizar, to which I will be returning after I've done my site. And because I am good, I am in fleet, and I am ready to X up with the link to the system name here, if anything untoward happens, and hopefully that doesn't happen for this video. So we go ahead and we undock, and the sites we are running, the only sites you will be running as a Dread Bratter, are the Forlorn hubs. These will be Blood Raider Forlorn hubs. Do not do any other type of site. You won't get as much ISK. So what I've done is I've ignored all other results, and I've sorted these ones by range. So I'm going to take the first one, and we are warping to 0 on these sites. You do not warp to these sites at range. And I tend to wait. Oh, I got boosts. Well, I didn't actually get them. Oh, there we go. If I'd broken tether, I would have gotten boosts. This Rorqual is bad, and he broke tether just to give me boosts. Thanks, buddy. So before you land on the site, you want to sort your overview up here. In fact, I've got a ratting overview, and you can see there's a few rats on grid here. You sort it by name in descending order, and we'll see why in just a moment. And as we come into land, I'm going to be turning on my SIBO and my 2 tracking computers. You don't want to forget these. It's going to take you a lot longer to finish the site if you do. So as we come into land, we double check that we've sorted our overview correctly. And our first 2 targets are going to be the Corpatis. I believe it always says Phantom, but I might be wrong about that. But the first one you're going to look for is the 2 Corpatis. So as you land, you hit your Smartbomb, your gun, and your siege at the same time. For me, that's F1, F2, F3. As soon as we drop out of warp. And we start locking up the Corpatis. And then we sort by distance closest. And we sort to the closest battleship. We lock the battleship, and then we sort by name again. We kill the 2 Phantoms, the Corpatis. Those are our triggers for the next round. Now, while we're shooting the Patriarch, we are locking up all the Elder Corpums. There should be between 4 and 6. And once again, we sort by distance, find the closest battleship, we lock him up as well. Don't forget to red cycle your siege. So now we start shooting the Elder Corpum cruisers, and we continue to shoot those until we see the next wave spawn. Sometimes it's in the first 2, sometimes you gotta kill all of them. I haven't figured out exactly what will spawn the next site. I just go through and I kill all 6. And there's the next wave, so I select the battleship, I shoot that, and then I start targeting the battleships in ascending order from range. And I unlock that Shadow Sage that I don't need. So you'll see these are in relatively 2 separate groups. There's one group to the right and one tight group to the left. Once you kill all the battleships in the group that's tight to your left, your next wave is going to spawn. So as you lock subsequent battleships, this one is on the group to the right. That means I'll be shooting this one as the next wave spawns. And we'll see that in action in just a minute as I kill the remaining battleships on the left side. And always make sure you've got your Smartbomb running. Some of these waves... Oh, here's the Purifier landing on me. That son of a bitch. Alright, so they tried to drop me and they failed. We're gonna keep that in the video. That is really... Oh, ripperoni, buddy. So if you get a really bad Black Ops dropper that tries to get you, that's what'll happen. So, yeah, don't rat with cloaky campers in system unless you're extremely lucky. So we continue shooting the Patriarchs. And I'm just locking one up, shooting it, and if that doesn't spawn, then I'm going to lock up the next one, shoot it, rinse and repeat. I'm going to put a GF in local just to be cheeky. Don't really know what he was expecting there, but yeah, that's interesting. Alright, so the next wave is spawned, so we're going to shoot this last battleship and lock up the rest in ascending order. And this is pretty much the end of the site here. All we're doing is waiting for our siege timer to run down. And you can see I've got our site selected here. Once we've killed enough battleships, that site will despawn. And when that site is despawned, then it's safe for us to warp off. If we warp off before the site is despawned, it will remain in space until downtime. And you won't get any more site spawning. Here I'm going to cycle my armor repper as I've taken a bit of armor damage here. And I'm going to red cycle it. Your armor repper is only going to hit at the end of its cycle, so keep that in mind as you're trying to get reps. So I'm just going to keep these battleships locked up. And you're definitely... Oh, forgot to turn on my optimal range scripts. I was going to switch to tracking to kill the bomber, but it turns out I didn't need to. So now I've got all the remaining battleships targeted, and I should have just enough time, including that little distraction there, to finish off this site. If you finish the site's battleships and you still have time remaining on your siege cycle, if you're quick, you can swap out one tracking computer script for a tracking speed script, and you can start shooting the cruisers. I recommend only shooting the ones at 22 kilometers, and don't shoot any of the closer ones, as you will run into issues with trying to track them. So it looks like I might end up missing one battleship here, but as you can see, I've despawned the site. Yeah, there's the end of the site there. So I go to my deep tether bookmark, I hit warp, and I leave my EMP smart bomb on just in case any cheeky bombers try to come by and tackle me, which, yeah, that poor guy did, but didn't turn out so well for him. And so I'm warping back to the Fortizar, but if you were wanting to keep on ratting, you would just warp to the next site. Just keep an eye on your armor and cycle your capacitor booster as needed, and you'll be fine. So that concludes this lesson on dread ratting, its associated risks, and how not to blops drop on a dread ratter. Thanks for coming, guys.